Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be going into obsession.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. And we're using this book called Behind the Scenes of Obsession.
Oh,
Have you heard of it?
I have, yeah.
It's pretty wild. It was actually channeled through a psychophonic medium
Really?
back in the 1930s in Brazil.
Wow, so they were basically like taking dictation from spirits.
Yeah, basically. That's fascinating.
Yeah, a medium was receiving messages and writing them down.
Okay.
Pretty interesting, right?
What I find really cool about this book is that it's not just theory, it's very practical,
Right.
It uses real-life cases to show how obsession works,
Yeah.
what causes it, how to heal from it.
Okay, so let's define obsession then.
Right.
It's not just like being really into something, right?
No, not at all.
More to it.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah, okay.
The book describes it as this persistent influence from a spirit.
Mm.
And it's an influence that can really impact your thoughts,
Right.
your feelings, even your actions.
So it's like a constant whisper in your ear,
Oh, okay.
but it's not your own voice.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It can really mess with your decisions,
Okay.
your health, your whole life, really.
So how widespread is this? I mean, is this like...
It's more common than you think.
Really?
Yeah, the book argues that it's pretty prevalent, and it actually connects obsession to a lot of the things we see in society.
Mm.
Things like crime, emotional turmoil,
Oh, okay.
even just the general negativity that seems to be everywhere these days.
So, like, the bad vibes are attracting bad spirits?
You could put it that way.
Go on.
It's not quite that simple.
Right.
But the book suggests that obsession often stems from past life stuff,
Oh, interesting.
like unresolved conflicts.
Past lives coming back to haunt us.
Yeah, kinda.
That's a bit intense.
It's like carrying a shadow
Okay.
from one lifetime to the next.
So what can we do about it? I mean, are we
Yeah.
just stuck?
Not at all.
Okay.
That's where the book gets really helpful.
Oh.
It presents Spiritism as a path to disobsession,
Mm.
basically, a way to break free.
Okay. So,
And it's not about exorcisms or anything dramatic like that.
yeah.
It focuses on love and forgiveness,
Yeah.
understanding the laws that govern the spiritual world.
So it's about addressing the root cause,
Exactly.
not just the symptoms.
Yeah, it's about getting to the heart of the issue.
Okay, that makes sense. But you mentioned Spiritism.
Yes.
Can you give us a little Spiritism 101?
Sure.
What is that exactly?
Think of it this way. Spiritism is all about understanding the relationship between the physical world and the spiritual world.
Okay.
So it's based on the idea that we're not just bodies,
Okay.
but also spirits having a human experience,
Hmm.
and that this experience continues even after physical death.
So death isn't the end.
Not in the Spiritist view.
Okay, more of a chapter break.
Right, exactly.
So how did Spiritism become a thing?
Well, a lot of it goes back to a guy named Allan Kardec.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
I have, yeah.
Think of him like the Sherlock Holmes of the spirit world.
Oh, okay.
He was this 19th century educator, and he was fascinated by all these psychic phenomena.
Hmm.
But he wasn't just accepting things at face value. He wanted evidence, a system to understand it all.
So he was pretty rigorous.
Very much so.
Wow.
So he did a ton of research, experimentation,
Okay.
and he ended up creating a whole philosophical and scientific doctrine around it.
So he brought some order to all of that.
He did, yeah.
Interesting.
It became known as Spiritism.
Cool. And how does he tie into this idea of obsession?
Well, Kardec was the one who categorized these psychic disturbances as obsessions,
Mm.
and he linked them to reincarnation and karma.
Okay.
So the idea is that our actions in past lives
Okay.
create these karmic debts or connections that can lead to obsessive influences in our present lives.
Unfinished business.
Exactly.
Yikes, I hope I didn't make too many enemies.
We all have some karma to work through. It's part of the journey.
So Spiritism helps us deal with this unfinished business.
That's the idea.
Okay.
It offers a framework for understanding these phenomena,
Okay.
for making ethical choices,
Mm-hmm.
and working towards disobsession.
Roadmap noted.
Good.
But before we go too deep into solutions,
Okay.
what are the different types of obsession?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because I imagine it could range
It does.
from slightly annoying to full-blown, like, invasion of the body snatchers.
Yeah, you're right. It's a spectrum.
Okay.
It's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Break it down for me.
All right, so Kardec outlined three main types.
Okay.
Simple obsession, fascination, and subjugation.
Okay. Those are...
And these represent a range of influence,
Okay.
from subtle to extreme.
What does each one look like?
So imagine simple obsession like someone constantly putting junk mail in in your mailbox.
Okay.
It's annoying.
Right.
You don't want it, but you can just toss it out.
You just ignore it.
Right.
Okay.
It's those intrusive thoughts or ideas that pop up and don't feel like your own. But you can usually brush them off.
Okay, so manageable.
Yeah.
Then what's fascination?
Fascination is a bit trickier.
Okay.
It's more like someone sending you targeted ads based on your browsing history.
Yeah.
They know your weaknesses, what you're drawn to, and they use that to influence you.
So you're losing a bit of your free will.
Exactly.
Kind of being nudged.
Yeah, like a gentle nudge in a specific direction.
And then there's subjugation.
Subjugation. That's the invasion of the body snatchers scenario.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking that.
That's the most extreme form,
Oh.
where a spirit essentially takes over.
Yikes.
Yeah, it can be pretty scary.
So what happens in that case?
Well, the person might experience drastic personality shifts. They might act totally out of character.
Really?
They might even lose control of their physical body.
Whoa.
It's like something else is driving the wheel.
So how do we protect ourselves from this?
Well, the book actually emphasizes self-awareness as the first line of defense.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, it encourages us to pay attention to our inner world,
Okay.
our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors.
So if we're constantly stressed, anxious, or negative,
That's right.
we're basically sending out a welcome spirits sign.
You're creating vulnerabilities.
Okay.
You're making yourself more susceptible.
So it's like having a weak immune system.
Exactly.
Got it.
So it's about recognizing those negative patterns and making conscious choices to shift them.
So we need to create a kind of spiritual force field.
You got it.
Okay, I like that analogy.
And practices like prayer and meditation are like taking your spiritual vitamins.
Spiritual vitamin.
They build up your inner strength. They make those negative influences less appealing.
I like that. It's like they don't want to hang out in a bright, positive environment.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're talking about inner work, but I'm also wondering about the role of spiritist centers.
Yeah.
The book mentions them quite a bit.
They're crucial for disobsession work.
Okay.
They provide that community support, guidance, and a safe space for healing.
So they're like sanctuaries.
You could say that.
Okay.
And it's not just about learning about Spiritism.
Okay.
They should be havens of peace, places where people can really connect.
So it's like a combination of a library and a support group.
Yeah, and a meditation retreat.
I like that.
It's a place to practice what you learn,
Okay.
to connect with others on the same path.
Makes sense. And there's a strong emphasis on moral elevation in these centers, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not just about showing up, it's about actively working on yourself,
Right.
striving to live in alignment with love and compassion.
Because negativity attracts negativity.
That's right.
Got it.
So, maintaining a harmonious and loving atmosphere is critical.
So if your house is clean, you're less likely to attract pests.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the book talks about spiritual vampirism,
Oh, yes.
which sounds a bit like a spiritual pest problem.
It is.
What's that all about?
Spiritual vampirism refers to those spirits who feed off the energy of living people, especially during sleep.
Is that why some people wake up feeling exhausted,
It's possible.
even after a full night's sleep?
It could be a factor.
Wow, okay.
The book suggests that our thoughts and emotions play a big role here.
Okay.
Remember, negativity attracts negativity.
Right.
Those negative thoughts and emotions, they can act like open doors for these energy vampires.
So if I'm stressed or anxious, I'm basically an all-you-can-eat buffet.
You're making yourself more vulnerable.
Okay, I got it.
It's about making your inner world a less appealing place for them to hang out.
Got it. Spiritual self-care is key.
Exactly.
Now, I know we're going to dive into a specific case study soon,
Yes.
but you mentioned that the book was channeled through a medium back in the 1930s.
Right.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure.
What exactly is psychophonic mediumship?
It's a unique form of communication with the spirit world.
Okay.
Imagine a radio receiver,
Okay.
but instead of picking up radio waves,
Right.
it's picking up messages from spirits.
So the medium's like a spiritual radio.
Exactly.
Interesting.
In psychophonic mediumship, the medium's voice is used by a spirit to communicate.
Wow.
So the medium's voice might change completely,
Really?
adopting the tone and inflections of the communicating spirit.
That would freak me out.
It can be quite startling.
Yeah.
So in this case, the whole book was dictated by a spirit using a medium.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
It adds a whole other layer to the story, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you wonder,
Right.
who was the spirit?
Exactly.
What was their message?
Those are the big questions.
Yeah.
Are you ready to meet the Soares family?
Absolutely. Bring on the drama.
We're diving in. All right, so the Soares family, they're really at the heart of this whole story.
Okay.
Their experiences, they really bring these concepts to life.
Yeah, definitely ready for some real-world examples.
Okay, well.
After all that talk about past lives and spiritual vampires and all that.
Yeah, you're in for a wild ride.
Okay.
The Soares family is dealing with some serious spiritual turmoil. So first, you have Mr. Mateus, the father.
Okay.
The dad, he's got some issues.
Like what?
Gambling, harshness with his family.
Not exactly living a spiritually aligned life.
Not exactly, no.
Okay, so he's got some karmic baggage.
You could say that.
What about the rest of the family?
Well, his wife, Donna Rosa.
Okay.
She's basically the opposite.
Oh, okay.
She's devout, patient, trying to hold everything together. The spiritual anchor of the family.
Got it.
Then you've got their daughters.
Okay.
Mariana, Marta, and Amelia.
3 daughters, each with their own,
Exactly, each with their own story.
Okay.
Mariana is the one who becomes the main target of the spiritual disturbances. She's tormented by a spirit from the past.
Oh, so that's where the past life connections come in.
Exactly.
Poor Mariana.
It's pretty intense.
Okay, then Marta, the eldest.
Marta, she gets involved in some practices that actually make things worse.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, she's dabbling in something called quimbanda.
Quimbanda?
It's kind of like Brazilian black magic.
Black magic. Whoa, okay.
It often involves working with spirits who are drawn to power and manipulation.
Not exactly the benevolent guides you want on your side.
Not exactly, no.
So she's messing around with some dark forces.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's impacting the whole family.
It is, yeah.
Wow.
And then there's Amelia, the other daughter.
Okay.
She's the one who turns to Spiritism for help, trying to make sense of it all.
So she's the voice of reason in this whole spiritual hurricane.
She represents the potential for healing and growth.
Okay, so we've got this family struggling.
Yeah.
But who's the spirit that's tormenting Mariana?
His name is Guilherme.
Guilherme, okay.
And he's driven by a thirst for revenge.
Revenge.
It turns out that in a past life, he was a young woman named Aldegundis.
Oh, wow.
And she was wronged by a man named Jacob van der Koppel.
So she's coming back for revenge.
But it gets even more complicated.
Okay.
Because she was seduced by a dark spirit, filled with hatred, and ended up taking her own life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So now as the spirit Guilherme, he's seeking revenge.
That's a tragic story.
It is.
But how does Mariana fit into all of this?
Well, it turns out that Mr. Mateus, her father, is the reincarnation of Jacob van der Koppel.
Whoa! The plot thickens.
Talk about family drama.
So this vengeful spirit is targeting Mariana because of her father's past life.
Exactly. It's reaping what you sow. But across lifetimes,
that's reef.
The past is literally coming back to haunt them.
So did they just succumb to this?
That's where the spiritists come in.
Okay.
Specifically, a spirit guide named Saturnino.
Saturnino, okay.
He's working behind the scenes to help both the living and the dead find peace.
So he's like the family therapist in all of this.
You could say that.
What's his approach?
He's trying to mediate between Guilherme and the Soares family.
Okay.
Trying to help Guilherme see that revenge isn't the answer.
Right. It just creates more suffering.
Exactly.
But is Guilherme even open to listening?
It's not easy.
I mean, he seems pretty set on his revenge.
He does.
Yeah.
But that's the power of Spiritism.
Oh, okay.
It emphasizes love and forgiveness, even for those who seem beyond hope.
Yeah.
So Saturnino is working to show Guilherme another path.
Okay.
One based on understanding and compassion.
That takes a lot of patience.
It does.
And faith.
A lot of faith.
I guess that's where those spiritual vitamins come in handy.
Exactly. It's not a quick fix.
Right.
It's a journey of transformation.
Okay, now I'm curious about Mariana's illness.
Yeah.
Is it directly caused by Guilherme?
It's complex.
Okay.
The book shows how obsession works on different levels.
Okay.
While Guilherme's influence is a factor.
Okay.
It's not like he's simply possessing her.
Right.
Remember, we talked about negativity, creating vulnerabilities. Mariana's own fear, stress, her past life trauma.
Yeah.
It makes her more susceptible.
So it's like a perfect storm of negativity.
Exactly. It highlights how important it is to address both internal and external factors in healing.
So it's not just about banishing a spirit.
It's about building inner strength and resilience.
Okay, that makes sense. What about Marta?
Yeah.
You mentioned she was making things worse.
Right.
With her
Quimbanda experiments.
Right. What happens to her?
Well, she starts to realize that those Quimbanda spirits, they're not her friends.
Right.
They've been using her, manipulating her.
Wow.
Feeding off her energy.
So she's starting to see the light?
She is, but It's not easy to break free.
Yeah, imagine
Trying to quit a bad habit
right.
that's become an addiction. Those spirits don't want to lose their hold on her.
So they retaliate.
They do. They make her scared and anxious.
Oh, wow.
They try to pull her back in.
So breaking free from negativity can be a real battle.
It can be.
Wow.
But Marta, she finds her strength through Spiritism. She starts attending meetings at the Spiritist Center. She dives into the teachings.
Okay.
And she receives healing energy from experienced mediums.
So she's finding support.
Exactly.
People
She found her tribe.
Yeah.
And she starts using her experiences to help others who are struggling. And in the process, she heals herself.
So she's turning darkness into light.
Exactly.
That's inspiring. Okay, so we've got this family drama unfolding.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned this Dr. Theophrastus
Right.
and his spiritual amphitheater.
Oh, yes.
What's that all about?
Dr. Theophrastus, he's a powerful spirit,
Okay.
but he's running this spiritual amphitheater.
Okay.
And it's basically a spectacle of obsession and revenge.
Okay, a spiritual amphitheater
Yeah.
where obsession is like,
The main act. What exactly is going on there?
imagine a huge arena filled with spirits and living people.
Wow. Okay.
Dr. Theophrastus, he's the ringleader.
Right.
He orchestrates these elaborate displays of obsession.
He's teaching techniques of control.
Wow. So it's like a school for negativity.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's where people go to learn how to harness their anger, their resentments, their desire for vengeance.
To harm others.
To harm others, yeah,
That is seriously dark.
it is.
But why is Dr. Theophrastus so invested in all of this?
Well, it turns out he's got a pretty messed up past.
Oh, okay.
He was a magician in Rouen, France,
Okay.
back in the days of the Inquisition.
Right.
And he was burned at the stake.
Oh, wow. So he's carrying some serious trauma.
Yeah, unresolved pain,
Yeah.
thirst for retribution.
It explains a lot.
He's basically perpetuating the cycle of violence that he himself was a victim of.
It's a reminder that we all carry wounds,
We do.
but how we choose to heal those wounds makes all the difference.
It does.
So we've got this amphitheater of darkness.
Yeah.
And then we have Saturnino and the Spiritists
Right.
trying to bring light.
Trying to bring some balance.
Do they ever confront Dr. Theophrastus?
They do.
Okay.
And it's the clash of ideologies.
Really? What happens?
You have the Spiritist message of love and forgiveness
Okay.
going head-to-head with Dr. Theophrastus's belief in revenge.
That sounds intense.
It is.
How does it play out?
Well, the Spiritists, they don't fight fire with fire.
Okay.
They approach Dr. Theophrastus with compassion,
Okay.
understanding a whole lot of love.
They're really putting their faith to the test.
They are.
But does it work?
That's where things get really interesting.
So did their love and light approach actually work on Dr. Theophrastus?
Well, it's not an instant transformation,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a turning point.
Okay.
Remember, he's entrenched in this negativity
Yeah.
for centuries.
Right.
He's got a whole team of dark spirits on his side.
Right. Right.
But he sees the Spiritist's compassion,
Yeah.
and something shifts.
Like a crack in the armor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He starts to question everything he thought he knew.
But I bet his dark spirit buddies aren't too happy about this.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They sense their leader is wavering, and they react.
Oh, I have
The Scores family,
Yeah.
especially Mr. Mateus,
Right.
they start getting hit with some intense negative energy.
Really?
It's like they're trying to pull Dr. Theophrastus back into the fold by making things worse for the people he's starting to care about.
So it's a test.
It is a big one.
Can he resist?
It's a real struggle.
Okay.
It plays out on both the spiritual and physical levels.
So what happens?
Mr. Mateus' gambling addiction flares up.
Oh.
His temper gets shorter.
Okay.
He starts backsliding.
Into his old ways.
Yeah.
What about Mariana?
Mariana, who was starting to heal, she gets hit with these vivid, disturbing flashbacks
Oh, wow.
of her past life trauma.
So those buried memories are resurfacing.
They are. It's like they're being dug up and thrown in her face.
Man, those dark spirits play dirty.
They do.
What about Marta? Is she still struggling?
She's trying to break free,
Yeah.
but they're not letting go easily.
Right.
It's like quitting smoking. There are withdrawal symptoms.
Oh, wow.
Fear, anxiety, even physical discomfort.
So this disobsession thing is tough.
It's not easy, no.
Okay, but she has support, right?
She does, fortunately.
Okay.
She has the Spiritist community to lean on,
Right.
guidance, healing energy, a safe space to work through it all.
So the Soares family is really going through it?
They are.
Dr. Theophrastus is wrestling with his conscience.
Yeah.
And those dark spirits are lurking.
It's a tense situation.
What happens next?
Well, there's this young woman, Anna Maria.
Right. Anna Maria, she's in the leper colony.
Exactly.
Yeah. And her illness was caused by a spirit connected to Dr. Theophrastus.
That's right.
It's just horrifying to think that someone could be manipulated like that.
It shows how powerful these unseen influences can be.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's the interesting part.
Okay.
Anna Maria's illness starts to improve.
Really?
Dramatically.
How?
Thanks to the Spiritists' healing work and prayers.
So they're fighting back with love and light.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
And it's not just about the physical symptoms.
Right.
They're addressing the spiritual root.
Okay.
Sending healing energy to Anna Maria. Working to break the spirit's hold on her.
So what about Dr. Theophrastus?
He's still torn.
Okay.
It's a constant battle.
Right.
The book mentions these 12 dominating minds and a council of magistrates from the infernal regions.
What?
Basically, a hierarchy of negative spirits.
So like spiritual mob bosses.
That's a great analogy.
Whoa.
They're not happy about his change of heart.
Right.
They tempt him with power.
Okay.
Threaten him with consequences.
Wow, it's like peer pressure.
It is, but from some pretty intense entities.
So what do the Spiritists do?
Well, they invite Dr. Theophrastus to one of their meetings.
Really?
At the Spiritist Center.
They're inviting him into their space.
They are.
That's pretty gutsy.
It is. They have a lot of faith in the power of love.
So what happens?
It works.
Really?
He sees the love, the compassion, the joy.
Wow.
And it's like a light bulb goes off.
He sees the appeal of the light side.
He does. He starts to understand that true power comes from love and service.
So it's a major breakthrough.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's a process.
Right, it doesn't happen overnight.
No, he's drawn to this new path.
Okay.
But he's also afraid.
Right, there will be consequences for leaving the dark side.
And he's grappling with the guilt of his past.
It's like leaving a cult.
Yeah, there's that fear.
So what does he do?
He makes a choice.
Okay.
He chooses love. He chooses to align himself with the Spiritists.
So he becomes a good guy?
He becomes a better guy.
Okay.
He starts working with them, using his knowledge to guide others.
That's amazing. It shows that anyone can find their way back to the light.
It's a powerful message of hope.
But what about those consequences?
Oh, they come.
They do?
There's pushback, testing.
Okay.
They try to tempt him back. They attack the Thor's family.
So it's a spiritual war.
It's a battle between darkness and light.
But how do they fight back?
With love, compassion, and understanding.
Right.
Remember, evil is the absence of good.
Right.
You combat it by turning up the light.
So the Source family keeps choosing love.
They do, even when it's hard.
And Dr. Theophrastus is right there with them.
He is, fighting the good fight.
And what about the Source family? Do they find peace?
They do. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But they come out stronger.
Okay.
Mr. Mateus embraces Spiritism. He becomes a loving husband and father.
That's great.
Mariana heals from her trauma.
Okay.
She finds love and helps others struggling with obsession.
So it's a happy ending for them.
It's a hopeful ending.
Okay.
They find healing, forgiveness, a deeper connection.
With each other.
And with the spiritual world.
That's beautiful. And Dr. Theophrastus, what happens to him?
He continues on his path of redemption,
Okay.
finding joy in helping others. He's still accountable for his past,
Right.
but he's given the opportunity to learn and grow.
That's a powerful message.
It is. It shows that no one is beyond redemption.
This whole story has been quite the journey.
It has.
But it's ultimately about the power of love to overcome darkness.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we all have the capacity for both.
Darkness and light.
Exactly. And the choices we make determine our path.
And we're not alone in this journey.
We have support, guidance from the spiritual realm.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
If hate is the absence of love, what steps can we take to cultivate more love in our lives?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How can we be more compassionate, more forgiving?
How can we choose love over fear?
Especially when it's difficult.
These are big questions.
They are, but they're important ones.
I couldn't agree more. This has been an amazing journey.
I enjoyed it.
Into the world of obsession and disobsession.
Fascinating topic.
And I hope you've all learned something valuable along the way. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep choosing love.